Racer X is saddened to report the passing of longtime privateer team owner Bill Dill, who lost his battle with brain cancer on Saturday night. A former racer in his own right, Dill ran his 3D Racing Yamaha team for over 20 years, supporting privateers in Monster Energy AMA Supercross and the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, often riders from his native New England region. The team might have flown highest in the early 2000s, with privateers like Kelly Smith, Keith Johnson, and Jason Thomas, with Smith grabbing hole shots and contending for podiums indoors and out. Dill never gave up on the dream of running his team, even to the very end. His team still had an effort in Monster Energy AMA Supercross this year, and his rider, Devin Simonson, missed the 250SX main event in Minneapolis by one position on Saturday night, taking 5th in the LCQ. Fittingly, while Bill wasn't at the race, he was still watching. He passed while watching the races, surrounded by family and friends. The following interview comes from Nick McCabe, from the story For the Love of Moto in Racer X magazine last year.
Bill Dill here at Southwick. Bill, you've had a lot going on. We saw you first appear this year at Michigan at Red Bud. You've done the Nationals for how many years as a team owner?
As a team owner, 20 years.
20 years.
And 10 years prior as a privateer myself. So 30 years combined of racing. Actually, Sonny and Duke Finch helped me sign up the first time in the early 80s to race here. Well, actually it was Gainesville, but we came here afterwards. And so I've been doing it a long time.
And you started this 3D racing in 2001?
Yes. Yep, I started it because that was my last national I rode in 99. And then I was going to keep going, and then somebody said, hey, why don't you run a race team instead? And I says, hey, I need to get paid to do that. Well, that turned into $1 million deal from Easy Wider. And that's how it started, I had to put up a bunch of money to buy that truck. So I had to come up with a bunch of money to get the deal. If I didn't come up with the money, I couldn't get the sponsorship. So I took a second mortgage on my house. Came up with a bunch of money just to see if they'd come up with that $1 million. Right?
And they did. And who were the riders the first year?
That was Keith Johnson, the one that runs the track here at Southwick.
Yeah.
Scott Carter. There were two local riders that I've raced against my whole career. I'm like, well, they're fast local guys. Let's go. Let's see what we can do. And I know they had good work ethic, and to give them a little more help just to go, they trained so much harder, and they had a lot of heart, Keith finished 3rd here that year. And Scott, I think, finished 7th. We had some good rides,
Yeah.
Then we had Kelly Smith the following year, because he was a factory KTM rider, right? And I don't know what happened there, but he ended up over here. And then we had Jason Thomas for a little while. We just snowballed into something pretty good, And then they started helping some more New England guys, which was okay, because I like to help the privateer guy, because I didn't have any help, right? And you don't get much help if you don't get in the top 20 consistently. So then I had to find other guys to get back to that level. And fortunately, Brandon Shear did really well with us. He was a top privateer a few times. Jason Brooks did so. He was okay. He was another local kid. But then I got Nick Gaines for the past 3 years. And everything just started going up again. Getting a lot more help, getting paid from some of the companies to use their products. And unfortunately, COVID hit us, and everybody went downhill, right? And Nick decided he didn't want to ride anymore because he had to get a real job to pay for his, normal life.
Right.
Which is unfortunate for me, because last year was probably my best year in 8 years with him. But I said, if I got to find a guy, I might as well find a guy that's in the same state as me. So I got Gabe, right? And Justin. Not expecting much out of them, just make it in. And maybe get in the top 20. Well, finished second, the last chance qualify. I was running 23rd. Something went wrong with the motor. Put another brand new motor in the bike, and it made it. But I don't know how good it is anymore, because it didn't have any time to break in. It just came out of a box in the frame to the starting line. I was like, this probably isn't a really good idea. It's probably going to be an expensive experiment. But he looks at me, he goes, what do you want to do? I go, we came here to race. We have it. We're using it. If it breaks, we'll fix it.
Right.
We got until Tuesday.
It's only 2 days.
Yeah, we got plenty of time. We have enough stuff in the truck to rebuild engines if we have to. And I can do it. But I choose not to do a lot of it anymore. I'll send it off to Bundy Built Motors, and he'll do it for me. So I'll probably drive home tonight, and I may drive to North Carolina tomorrow, hang out with him for a day and do everything. In a nice race shop environment. And Dennis is great. And between the three of us, we can bang out motors in a couple hours. So it's almost worth the 12-hour ride, right? Instead of doing one motor that's going to take 4 hours here or 5, and then you got to do another one. It turns into 10 hours.
So you've got some challenges going on. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm still fighting the cancer in my brain, right? And like this past week, I was supposed to start my second regimen of double the amount of chemo. I go to the cancer center where they draw the blood, and they said there's no order there for me, so I have to go home and have to go to another place. And then the doctor says, hey, you got to start your treatment tomorrow. I says, hey, you didn't put the order in time, so I'm not going to have that stuff in time for tomorrow. And then they call me, hey, did you start your treatment? I go, no. Why not? I go, because it showed up and I'm at a racetrack, so it'll have to wait until I get home. Well, you really shouldn't do that at all. You shouldn't have screwed up. I says, yeah, I go, if you're going to do stuff with me, you better move a little quicker and be more efficient.
It's the motocross guy in you.
Yeah, because like I said to him, I go, I don't know about you, but I don't know how I'm going to get that time back that you're wasting of mine. You're the one who's getting paid, but it's my life.
Right.
And it's not a cold we're trying to treat here. We're trying to slow down the cancer that you can't kill. Because if you kill it, it kills me. Right? It's connected to the cerebral nerve, and if anything happens to that, you become really bad.
What is the nerve?
Cerebral nerve.
Cerebral nerve?
Yeah, it's part of the brain. It controls your breathing, your seeing, your smell, your taste. That's why they could only get 98% of it. If they hit it, you're pretty much done. And when I went to get operated on, because I had a headache for a couple days, and then I got excruciating pains. And I've never really had a headache other than knocking myself out at a racetrack, And I get there, and they says, they take my blood, and they go, oh, we can't do anything to you right now. You're gonna have to have a blood transfusion. I go, why? And he goes, you get too much aspirin. And I go, well, I've been taking 6 of those every 2 hours. They go, well, if we don't operate on you, you probably won't live until tomorrow morning. I'm like, really? What do you want to do? You want to have blood transfusion? Hell no. We'll wait until tomorrow morning. Make sure your tools are good and ready. I told him, I want to make sure your tools are like brand new. I want to see the whizzer wheel. It's nice and shiny. I want to see the cracker that you're going to use to crack my head open, nice and shiny. And I want a gold spoon that you're going to scrape the stuff out, not a teaspoon, silver teaspoon. Because I signed a waiver type thing that if anything they could use to save somebody else's life by me, even if I died, it's okay.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I'll help whoever it is. If I can help somebody else save a life by figuring out what you got in my head, go ahead. So when I came out of the surgery, they're like, wow, you made it. And I'm like, wow, what do you mean? He goes, most people, what you did, probably wouldn't have survived. So then they put me in the ICU, and they want to give you all the pain medicine, and I can't take any of that because I just don't like it, right? So they make me take it, and I says, you better give me that little puke bucket. Oh, you'll be all right. We already gave you nausea medicine. You're not going to throw up. No. Next thing you know, out it comes. Told you. She goes, what do you want to do for pain? I says, bag of ice. Bag of ice? You can't put anything on your head. If you get anything in that cut that you just sewed up, it'll go straight to my brain and kill me from an infection. I said, I'll put a nice clean towel on there and a bag of ice, please. 4 hours later, come back in. She goes, how you feeling? I go, my bag of ice is now warm. I need another bag of ice. So 8 hours later goes by. She comes in. She goes, how you feel? I go, how's my head look? She goes, the swelling's almost gone.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. I go, you don't believe in ice, huh? You just want to put that medicine in everybody's body that kills you. A couple days later, they kicked me out because I drove them nuts. Second day there, the new girl comes in. She She goes, I'm the new girl on your team. I go, I have a team, huh? She goes, yeah, you have a whole bunch of people on your team. I says, great.
All right. So the after the surgery, they sent you home, and so Michigan was your first round.
Michigan was my first round. I wanted to go there. Well, we made it to Daytona, but I hadn't started the chemo and radiation treatments yet. But I did the 6 weeks every day of that stuff, and now we're on double the amount of chemo for the next 6 months. And I wanted to go to Red Bud, Michigan, because it's 3/4 of halfway to Melville, Minnesota, and Southwick's only 2 hours, so that's an easy one, right? So I wanted to take a ride, 16, 17-hour ride to see if I could do it, and I did. It was easy enough. So now I can go to Melville, right? And if these guys go fast enough, we'll go to Washougal too. Then we'll go ride around in the mountains and have fun for a week, because we got 2 weeks off. And then I'll hit, Unadilla, Budds Creek, Ironman. And if we feel good enough, we'll end up in California. Right?
You got 3 rounds there.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah.
And it's over. I made a commitment to Yamaha and all my other sponsors at the beginning of the year to do the Supercross and the Motocross. Just because you get sick doesn't mean you can get out of it. They helped me, and they were like, you don't have to do it. I go, no, I have to do it. I don't want to be one of those guys that you give stuff to and then they don't do what they're supposed to do. So I remember a few years back, the Yamaha supported a lot of guys, and they didn't go Supercross racing. They just took the stuff, did some testing, and sold it. And that's how the support pretty much went to nothing, But now I got pretty good support, and I want to make sure
continue with
that I continue down that path. If I choose to continue, if I get better to where I can do it. Because my doctor says I should just stay home and rest, and I'm like, why stay home and rest when I can come here and rest?
That's what your life is,
right?
What I mean?
It's the stuff that I used to do for normal work in my upholstery business, and when I, for my training and riding. This is nothing. To some people it's a lot, but to me it's like a half a day worth of work. It's not bad.
Who's give us a rundown of your sponsors?
Well, Yamaha helps us a lot, right? O'Neill helps us a lot with the gear. You got Cycra. You got Ron Joint from Decal Works, helps us a real lot. You have Dunlop. We have Recluse. We have Vortex, the pistons, and hot cams and cylinder works, moto hose, braking, AVS levers, micro bars, DT1 filters, and VP. I've known Bruce Hendel for a really long time, and he's like, hey, why don't you try some of this oils that we're going to be coming out with before anybody knew about it 3-4 years ago. Stuff works really, really well. Then he came out with the Stay Frosty. Stuff works great. Let's try it. So those guys I've known for a long, long time, because they helped me way back when I was doing this stuff as a professional rider.
Right.
And I've just carried it all through. FMF, I used FMF pipes in 1979, 80. And I did some testing for Donnie way back then.
Seems to me that you're with your team. You're everything from the truck driver to the mechanic to the cook to everything. Right?
Yeah. You got to know how to do it all. If you want to, if you're going to be a privateer team, you got to know how to do all the stuff on the truck, maintenance of everything, and like I can rebuild the whole entire bike. If you blow it apart, I can fix it. And these other guys, these other privateer guys, they don't even know how to change a piston. Oh, it's a 4-stroke. I can't do that. Well, that's why it costs you so much money. Right. You bring it to the dealership, well, there's another $600-800, right? I can go home and do it in a couple hours. It don't cost me a dime. So I could take that $600-800, put it in the fuel tank to drive to the race and help these guys. And I work really hard on the sponsorship end to get the rider more contingency money, whatever it may be, and if they need product for their own practice bikes, I make sure they get it. And it works out pretty well, right? Now the kid's getting all his oil for nothing, his filters for nothing, his tires for nothing, his chain sprockets, pistons, clutches, bars, levers. Now he's not buying stuff makes him happy, right? Makes him want to train a little more, go a little faster. Now he's getting paid.